Hey, Redemption Hill family. I just wanted to say hey and hope that everyone's doing well. Pastor Chad asked us to do a devotional on the Passion Week. And when I think about what Jesus did during that week, in the moments of his death, and how important every move he made, every word he said was, I'm always drawn to the story of Peter. Peter was someone who said, "I would die for you. I'm ready to go and die for you." And Jesus prophesied that, yeah, I hear you, but before the rooster crows, you'll deny me 3 times. And as the story goes, Jesus is arrested and he's taken to Annas' house, the high priest, and then taken to Caiaphas' house, the high priest, where they are trying him. And during that time, Peter's kind of following behind and watching from a distance. And he ends up denying him 3 times. He ends up saying, "Oh, I don't know who he is," or I'm not with him. And just like Jesus said, and in Luke chapter 22, verse 61, there's a moment after he denies him for the last time, and the rooster crows. And it says in 61, "And the Lord turned and looked at Peter." There was a moment where after he denied him, the rooster crowed. Jesus looked at Peter. He looked over at him, looked him in the eyes. He had already been struck, beaten. His cheek was bleeding. He was being tried illegally. He was being mocked. And he looks over and he looks Peter in the eyes as Peter had just denied him. And it says that Peter went out and he wept bitterly. Now, a lot of people like to point the finger at Peter and blame him for denying Jesus and betraying Jesus in this moment. But he did what probably a lot of us would do when the person you thought that was going to be the king of Israel and the Messiah and the Savior is all of a sudden bound. His hands are bound. He's being struck by soldiers. They were very confused, and Peter denied him. He denied his association with Jesus, not his belief in Jesus, not his ideas of Jesus. He denied his association, which sometimes is easy for us to do. But one thing I want to point out is the story of Peter denying Jesus is written in all 4 Gospels. And when they're written in all 4 Gospels, that means they're important. Not that anything else is not important, but when it's in all 4, pay attention. His denial is written in all 4 Gospels. But I want to point this out as well, because Jesus had a plan for Peter, and we know that. And it says in Mark chapter 16, when they come to the tomb and find it empty, an angel says, "Do not be alarmed. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go and tell his disciples and Peter that he is going before you into Galilee." See, even in Jesus' resurrections, he had a plan to redeem Peter. That the angel said, "Go tell his disciples, but also tell Peter." And they did. They went to Peter. Peter ran to the tomb. Peter and John ran to the tomb, and they went out quickly and fled there. And as you know, Jesus does meet Peter on the seashore and says, "Do you love me? Feed my sheep. Do you love me? Feed my sheep. Do you love me?" He restores him. Peter denies him 3 times. Jesus restores him with 3 thoughts of love for him, letting Peter know that he is who he said he was going to be. We know that at Pentecost, Peter is the first one that stands up and brings 3,000 people to Christ right there. He drops the first sermon of Jesus' gospel and lets the people know things have changed. So just a cool story coming out of the Passion Week, and the idea that we're going to mess up in life, but God loves us. We're his children. And he has a plan for us, even when we deny him, even when we betray him in certain ways, that he has a certain love for us, his children, his disciples. So guys, have a great week. Love you all. And if you need anything, let me know.